guys, how's it going? And welcome back to the race reaction for the British Grand Prix. And what a race. My throat hurts. Everything hurts. I need to lie down. But oh my god, what a race. What a race. I think we should obviously probably start at the beginning with Guan Yu Zhou, but yeah, what an insane race. Let's get into it. So let's start at the beginning then. Like I said, Guan Yu Zhou, completely innocent bystander, just got tapped by George Russell at the start, and unfortunately ended up on the halo, spinning around into the gravel trap, went over the barrier into the catch fencing. I can't remember the last time I saw an F1 car do that, especially in modern era Formula 1. It's something that doesn't really happen often. But yeah, thankfully he was okay. He was on a stretcher, I think, at first, and obviously they took a while to show the replay of the incident and stuff, which they normally do. But thankfully he was okay. At the end of the race, they showed him talking to the Stefano Domenicali guy, and yeah, what a crazy accident. And the fact that he just, you know, comes back into the paddock talking to people absolutely fine. It's just crazy, and again, it just highlights the safety of Formula 1 cars these days. But yeah, a very, very scary accident, and proving again that Silverstone is a very, very dangerous circuit. But thankfully he was okay, and yeah, so on that side, I was very, very grateful. Whilst we're on Alfa Romeo, we might as well start with them. Valtteri Bottas also retired halfway through, well, not halfway through, but sort of at the beginning sort of phase of the race. And yeah, no points for Alfa Romeo, so a weekend for them to forget. But thankfully, like I said, Guan Yu Zhou, okay. So let's get into the real talking point then, and that is Ferrari and Carlos Sainz taking his first victory ever in Formula 1, and I'm so pleased for him. He's deserved to win for such a long time, and yeah, it's finally happened. And obviously he got pole yesterday as well. It was his 150th career Grand Prix as well. So yeah, what a fantastic achievement for Carlos Sainz, and definitely one that he'll remember for years and years to come. So yeah, really well deserved, and yeah, maximum points for Carlos Sainz. And Leclerc had a bit of a up and down sort of race, to be honest. Lost his front wing after the red flag, sort of clipped Perez trying to go down the inside into the loop. And yeah, sort of, he lost more or less half of his end plate on the right hand side, but he had really good pace considering throughout the rest of the race. But unfortunately, he did come to blows with Perez and Hamilton at the end after the last safety car towards the end of the race. But those final 10 laps were absolutely insane. And like I said, my throat hurts from shouting so much. Me, mum and dad were just like, ah! So absolutely insane. But yeah, not a great day for Charles Leclerc, but a good day for Ferrari, and still gain points on Red Bull. So next up, Red Bull then, and they managed to score second place with Perez, and Max Verstappen absolutely nowhere after the damage that he had on the exit of Copse, I think it was. Lost a bit of downforce with losing parts of his car. He also had a puncture as well, which completely ruined his race. Didn't really have any sort of momentum in the car after that, unfortunately. So yeah, Verstappen down his 7th, but Perez just sort of came from nowhere, really. Pitted early into he was down to about P15. Just had a really quiet one. Then obviously we got the last safety car, and he was just there, and he just gave it absolutely everything to the end of the race. So fair play to him. And like I said, P2 for Sergio Perez. But yeah, definitely not a weekend that Red Bull wanted, but you know, it's put Ferrari a little bit closer. And Mercedes, again, also seem like they're in the championship fight now. I don't know if it's just track dependent, and obviously Lewis, but we didn't get to see what George did. But we'll get on to the Mercedes just now. Talking about Mercedes then. So Lewis Hamilton, could have been a lot more for him. And obviously you guys know I'm a massive Lewis Hamilton fan, so it was gutting to see him lose out to Perez and having all that battle. And I thought it was going to end in tears at one point, because the amount of things that were going on, and people pushing each other wide and trying to find all these different lines, and Alonso was getting involved at the end of the race as well. Oh, could have been so much more for Lewis, but yeah, had really good pace. And again, I don't know, obviously the Mercedes car does go well on the Silverstone circuit because there's no sort of bumps or anything. The track surface is quite smooth, and obviously, you know, it's his home race as well, so he's going to have that sort of extra motivation. But yeah, had really good pace at the beginning, had a really good start at the very, very beginning. Didn't have a great start on the second restart after the red flag, but yeah, nevertheless, he was showing some really, really good pace, and I think he probably would have been able to win the race, I think, if we didn't get that other safety car towards the end of the race. But yeah, massive disappointment for Lewis, but P3 is still good, and once again showed that he does have the pace, and hopefully Mercedes have taken a turn and are going to be in this championship fight as well, because they still aren't a million miles away. You know, we saw last year that, you know, you can be like 50 points behind and you can still come back to win the championship. So it's all to play for. It really is, and it just makes it more exciting with an extra team at the front as well. I like to mention at the beginning as well, George Russell. We didn't really get to see his pace because obviously there was no racing from him. He obviously got collected by Gasly as Gasly went for a move, got clipped, and George obviously went into Zhou, and that created the whole chain of reaction to the Turn 1 incident. And I think that's probably the biggest Turn 1 crash we've seen in a very, very long time. So, yeah, absolutely insane. But unfortunately, George had to retire. And there was a load of things going on, whether he'd be able to restart the race because he jumped out, went over to Zhou, jumped back into the car, because Mercedes thought obviously they'd be able to repair the car because the red flag came out. But unfortunately, they weren't able to. The FIA came down and obviously said, you know, you can't restart the race once you're out. Once the marshals have touched the car, that's it, basically. So unfortunately for him, had to retire. But yeah, a really good day for Mercedes nonetheless. Next up, we'll do Alpine then, and Fernando Alonso was waiting patiently there, wasn't he, at the end, sort of trying to get involved in the battle with Perez, Hamilton and Leclerc, but yeah, no, and managed to get ahead of Norris as well in the pit stop in the final few phases. But yeah, quite a quiet race for those guys in the midfield. Didn't really have the pace to catch the guys ahead, but had the pace to sort of stay ahead of Verstappen, and that because he was sort of holding everyone up because he had the damage. But yeah, no, good result for Alonso. P5, and Esteban Ocon I think retired in the end because that's what brought out the safety car at the end of the race. Some sort of reliability problem, not sure exactly what it was. And he actually also had contact at the start, broke his suspension. They managed to fix it coming into the red flag part. So yeah, not too bad for Fernando Alonso, but a day to forget for Esteban Ocon. Next up, McLaren then, and like I just mentioned, Lando Norris finishing behind Alonso, was ahead of Alonso from the whole race, I think, until that pit stop. I think McLaren just misjudged it, and unfortunately he wasn't able to get back past because Alonso had sort of the DRS and the slipstream with the guys ahead, so Norris couldn't really get a nice run on Alonso to overtake him, unfortunately. But no, still good result. P6 for Lando, and Daniel Ricciardo, again, just absolutely nowhere. I don't know what to say about this guy anymore, and it's a shame because he's such a lovable guy. But yeah, P13, and just we didn't see anything of him in the race. Nothing, absolutely nothing. A weekend to remember for Haas. Mick Schumacher finally gets his points in Formula 1, and I'll tell you what, he was having a really good go at Verstappen at the end of the race there, and Verstappen a little bit cheeky with the move into Brooklands as Mick tried to, I think it was the penultimate lap or the final lap, as he tried to go down the outside. But yeah, finally it's happened for Mick Schumacher. Really happy for him, and yeah, he put up a mature drive considering, you know, this is a rookie against probably arguably the best driver in F1 at the moment. It was a good little battle, and yeah, you could definitely tell it was a mature sort of thinking from Mick. Didn't take any risks, and I think he knew in his heart that if he let this one go, then he was going to absolutely kick off, and so would Gunther Steiner. So he played it safe, but yeah, great result for Mick Schumacher, and Kevin Magnussen as well, picking up a point in 10th place as well. So a really good day for Haas, and yeah, really good. Aston Martin are next, and they had an awful qualifying. I think Stroll was 20th and Vettel was 18th. But Vettel managed to get into the points into 9th place. Also had a really nice move around the outside of Verstappen into, I think it was Village. And yeah, really good move. Managed to get a point. P9, and Lance Stroll 11th. Didn't really see Stroll throughout the entire race, unfortunately. So yeah, it is what it is for Stroll, but yeah, good day for Aston Martin, more points on the board. So next up is Williams then, and Nicholas Latifi. Where did that come from? Obviously into Q3 for the first time this season, after having dismal performances, just came out of nowhere and got into Q3, and then in the race had some pretty good pace as well. Obviously we didn't really see much of him on the TV screen, so it was hard to sort of see what happened to him, but he ended up in P12, no points unfortunately, but that's hopefully going to give Latifi some confidence going into the next few races and build up his confidence again, because it was just absolutely shattered at the start of the season. And Alexander Albon just caught up in that Turn 1 incident. Vettel sort of went into the back of him, sort of unsighted, and then that put Albon in the wall, and his race was completely over basically. So yeah, not a good day on that side, but Latifi hopefully, like I said, will have some good confidence for the rest of the season. And finally then, AlphaTauri to finish this race reaction. And like I said, Gasly was caught up in the turn 1 incident, just sort of went for a gap, and it just quickly closed, and that just sort of created the chain reaction into turn 1, and after that had to DNF. And actually there was another incident where him and Tsunoda came together in the most stupidest circumstance ever. I don't actually know how Gasly retired. It says he DNF'd, but I don't really know what happened there. But anyway, Yuki Tsunoda went down the inside of the village, messed it all up, spun around, and also took Gasly out as well. And then obviously that ruined Tsunoda's race, and he ended up in 14th. So last of the runners. So yeah, not a good day for AlphaTauri. So there we go, guys. That is it for the race reaction for the 2022 British Grand Prix. I wish we could race at Silverstone every single weekend. I absolutely love the circuit. Not because I'm British, but just because it is just a fantastic circuit, and the fact that I am British just makes it a little bit more special. So yeah, what a race. And I really hope we've seen, you know, we can see Mercedes back up the front and back in the championship, and once again it's really close between Red Bull and Ferrari. So fingers crossed we get an absolute banger in Austria. I love the Austrian Grand Prix, so that'll be on next weekend. So yeah, really can't wait. So let me know, as always, your thoughts and comments of everything that happened in the comment section. And if you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you all again in the next one, guys. Take care.